external OData services. In SAP UI5 or Fiori applications, consuming OData external service in SAP UI5 application. So that is the main theme of today's class. So let me tell you here, in terms of SAP UI5 development, there won't be major changes. In terms of SAP UI5 development, there won't be any major changes irrespective of it can be OData ABAP service, or it can be OData HANA service, or it can be OData external service. It doesn't matter. UI5 development remains same. In terms of SAP UI5 development, there won't be any major changes. If you are using OData ABAP service, the same procedure we follow for OData external service. And of course, the same procedure we can follow even for OData HANA service. So please note that point. So what I want to do is I want to click on a button. When I click on a button, I want to get the data from, if I click on a button, I want to get the data from a OData external service into a table. Into a table, I want to bring the data, but that table should fetch the data from OData external service. Fetch data using OData external service. So one second. Who is this Android user? Someone connected with Android user? May I know who is this? Someone connected with Android user. So now you can see here, there are several OData external services. Let me go to a Google here. In Google search, you will find several OData external services. So you can see OData services. And you can see there will be some reference OData services here. Let me go to this website, and that website will provide some external services which interacts with some non-SAP databases. The data will come from non-SAP systems. So as a sample example, let me open this OData external service website here. So there are some services here, and in these services you can see, if you double click Northwind, So Northwind service is an external service here which is nowhere related to SAP directly. Which is nowhere related to SAP. So Northwind is one of the service here. So let me select that service here and let us study what exactly it contains. And you can see here when you click on that Northwind external service, it contains something like customers as collection, employees as collection, order details as collection, orders as collection, products as collection here. So there are several collections like customers, employees, order details, orders, products, etc., etc. So what I mean to say is technically speaking, these are nothing but the entity sets of that external service. So I can say customers, then employees, and order collection details, and orders, products, etc. So all these are the entity sets of that particular external service. So as a ABAPer, we don't develop external service. External service will be taken care by other developers. You need not worry. But if a service is given to you, you should be in a position to develop a front-end UI5 application. If a service is given to you, you should be in a position to develop a front-end UI5 or a Fiori application. So external services are taken care by other developers who is working on .NET and Java or something like that. But if a service is given to you, you should be in a position to develop a UI5 or Fiori application. So for that, you need to know that these are the entity sets of external service. So please notice that. So now how to test whether data is coming to entity set or not? How to test whether data is coming to entity set or not? Then what you can do is you can open one REST client. You can open REST client and you can see here under REST client, you can provide this entire path for testing. You can provide that and you can use /customers. Customers is one of the entity set of that external service. So let me provide that customers here. So when you click on send button, so now you can see we are able to get the data and you can see the data available in response body. Customer ID, company name, contact title, address, city, region, country, phone, fax, etc. So this is one of the customer ID, one of the customer record. And you can see second record, then third record, and fourth record, etc., etc. And say, for example, I want to check what are the fields of this entity set. We are able to get the records, there is no problem. I want to check what are the fields of this particular entity set. Then what you can do is you can directly use like this. I think question mark dollar metadata. Let me try with metadata. Okay, it is not recognizing this parameter, so no need to worry. You can see as soon as you provide customers, directly you are getting those fields here itself. So you can see address, city, region, postal code, country, phone, etc. So these are nothing but the fields here. So we can utilize these fields in our SAP UI5 application to get the data from this external service. You can consume this external service and you can utilize these fields in the UI5 application to display the data in front-end screen. So what you need to do now, it's very simple. Okay, let me write this. You can go to this. Open below website which contains sample OData external services. Just you can go to that site. Now, so whatever the data coming to this particular entity set, customers entity set, those records I want to display in my table. So let us follow this procedure now. Step 1, just create a table object. Create object for table. Create object for table. It is same like our normal OData ABAP service. There won't be any major changes. And step 2, add column with label and screen element. Add column to table with label and screen element. Add column to table with label and screen element, and maintain data binding between property and OData external service field. We have to maintain data binding between property and OData external service field. Property and OData external service field. Earlier we used to use OData ABAP services. Now we are using OData external services. And then step 3, repeat step 2 for n number of columns. Step 3, just repeat step 2 for n number of columns. Then step 4, create object for OData model and consume OData external service with service URL. Create object for OData model and consume OData external service here with its service URL. So instead of consuming OData ABAP service, today we are trying to consume OData external service. And then step 5, set the model object to table. Set model object to table. Then bind rows to table with entity set of OData external service. Bind rows to table with entity set of OData external service. Earlier we used to use entity set of OData ABAP service. Now we are using entity set of OData external service. and of course you can place table on content. So that is the procedure. The same 7-step procedure, we have already used it with ABAP service, but the same procedure we are using now for external service. So what I mean to say is front-end part won't change even if you use external service or HANA service or ABAP service. It doesn't matter. The screen designing in the front end will be same irrespective of the service. The screen designing in the front end, the screen designing techniques in the front end will be same irrespective of our service. Just let me write a simple note. Screen designing techniques will be same for any type of OData service, ABAP or external or HANA, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. For any service, it will be same. So let us implement this code. First, I want to create a table here. First, I want to create one button with, I want to create button by assigning a function to button. Here, I want to create a button by assigning a function to a button. So it's very simple. Yesterday we were creating buttons. Button object equal to new sap.ui.commons.button. Commons.button. Now you can provide some text here. For example, get data. Get data, and I want to assign one function to the button. Button contains one press event. So you can use press event colon some function name. Get data function. So I'm going to create get data fun as a function which is associated with press event of a button. So let me use button object dot place at some content area. Let me take it on content 2. You can place it on content 2 here. Now what I want to do is I want to create a function. Hello students, can you see my screen? Can you hear me properly? What about others? Okay. So I want to create a function, for example, get data fun. I'm creating a function that is get data fun, and here you can implement your table related coding. You can implement your table related coding here. So let me take the table related coding. I want to take it from the documentation. So let me copy from documentation. So you can see complex table. From table, I'll try to utilize some source code. you know how to create table, how to add the columns. The same thing I'm trying to use here. So this is a object for creating a table. So O table is our table object. So according to step 1, we are creating a table object here. According to step 1, we are creating table object. So now what you need to do, you have to add the column to the table with label and screen element. We need to add column to table with label and screen element. So how to do that? You can see here they have provided some piece of code to add the columns. And let us use some important properties here. Sorting and all these things I'm not using. Let us not worry about these things. So here you can see now so now what I want to do is here by default according to documentation they are using text view inside the table column. They are using text view inside a table column. Now what I need to do is we need to maintain a data binding with your text property and the field name that is coming from OData external service. So you have to provide some field name. So let me go to our external service. So you can see these are the fields. Let me take from this external service. One of the field is customer ID. So why don't you use that here as a label as well as data binding. So customer ID. And here the most important is data binding. So the data binding should be maintained with OData external service field instead of ABAP service field. But the front-end coding won't change as I said earlier. So I'm using customer ID as a first column. Similarly, why don't you copy these lines? And let me check what's the second field, that is company name. Company name, and why don't you provide that here as company name. And here also you can provide company name, that is for data binding. Similarly, let me copy this. Let me use some more fields like contact name, and here also let us provide contact name for data binding. And why don't you copy some more columns, and here we are going to use like contact title, And let me take some more fields. Let me take last three important fields, that is city, address, city, and country I want to use. So these are the fields coming from external service. Phone. So that is for data binding. So the only difference is at present I can say earlier also we have created a table with all the columns. We have created earlier with a table with all the columns, but we were using OData web service. Now we are using OData external service. OData external service related fields we are using here for data binding under table columns. So this is data binding. Binding is taking place with OData external service fields here. This is what you need to know. But technically speaking, this code remains same. Only field names are changing. Technical code in SAP UI5 remains same, irrespective of the service. So let me proceed further now. We have completed step 2 and we have repeated step 2 for n number of columns. We have repeated step 2 for n number of columns. Now this is a time to create an object for OData model. You have to create object for OData model and you need to consume OData external service by using a service URL. So in that case, how we do that? So let me write the code for step 4. So you can use var model object equal to new sap.ui.model.odata model. And here in OData model, just provide your something like the service URL. You just need to provide the service URL of your external service. So this is the service URL of OData external service. So you can provide that directly, and that OData external service is not accepting any username and password, so you can leave it. You need not worry about user ID and password because this OData service is not expecting any username and password to consume the service. So this is how we create a model object. We are creating model object and consuming external service with service URL. But in your case while practicing, what you do is just try to utilize this. In your case, what you do is you can take this complete URL in your coding part when you are practicing from your machine. and just provide some proxy here slash something like this you can provide. Try like this. If you don't get, then we'll make some changes in this URL. So this is how we are creating model object. Now, according to step 5, we have to set that model object to table. This model object belongs to external service. This model object belongs to external service, so you can set that model object to a table. So very simple. You can use like otable.setModel, and you can use your model object here. And then you can you can bind the rows to the table. Bind rows to the table with entity set of OData external service. Bind rows to table with entity set of OData external service. And if you closely observe, in our case, we are using, we are trying to get the data by using an entity set that is customers. We are trying to fetch the data that is coming to customers entity set. So why don't you use that in your coding part? Here, bind rows, and you can use customers, that's it. So here, customers is a entity set, but it is a entity set of external service. So recognize that. Here customers is entity set of external service. So what I mean to say is the entity set can come from external service or HANA service or OData ABAP service, but whatever it may be, ultimately at a table level, you have to use bind rows method. In UI5 level, under table, you have to use bind rows method by passing that entity set. So notice that, and then you can place that table on content. You can use place at, and you can place it on content here. So let me test it. Let me try. So now you can see there is a get data button, and when I click on get data button, I'm expecting a table, but it is not showing any output. So there should be some code changes. So there is some error. sap.ui.table is null or not an object. So I think we need to register this sap.ui.table under library section. That might be the problem. sap.ui.table should be registered. That is a library section. You can register that package. And let us proceed further now. Let us refresh. And when I click on get data, okay, now you can see we are able to get the data into this table. On get data button, we are able to get the data into this table, and this is how you can see the records, and these records are coming from an external service. These records are coming from external service, and you can observe the first record, ALFI, Alfred, Maria, sales representative, and the same thing what we are getting here. ALFKI, Alfred, Maria, sales representative. So whatever we get in our OData external service while testing, the same data we are able to see, in our table level in UI5. You can see all those records. So this is one thing that you need to notice. So let me copy this code, or if you want me to refresh again, I'll refresh. But when I click on get data, I'm expecting data to a table, and this is how it will display the records. We have used a paginator, so it will take the paginator also. So let me give this code in your notes. If you follow according to step-by-step procedure, it will be very easy. One second. So now, say for example, if you want to see the data, if you want to see OData external service data in radio button group, the procedure remains same. If I want to display the data in radio button group and the data which is coming from OData external service, or you can display OData external service data in drop-down box, or you can display OData external service data in something like a graph, which I explained already, column graph or something like line graph, pie graph, bar chart, etc. Or you can also display OData external service data in row repeater. I've explained this. So there won't be any change whether you are using ABAP service or external service, radio button group, drop-down box, graph, row repeater. That procedure will be same as your OData ABAP service. The only thing is you need to adjust the fields and you need to adjust the entity set, but the coding wise everything is same. So the above functionalities will be same as OData ABAP service. The above functionalities will be same as OData ABAP service. So that is a point you need to notice. Okay, so please notice that. And in the coming classes, the next coming classes, they are very, very important. Let me tell you what are the important topics which we are going to cover in the next coming classes. One is how to use multiple views. First, we'll try to use view and controller technique. First, we'll understand how to use view and controller technique, and then we will try to understand navigation between two views. Navigation between two views. And you will understand how to use CRUD operations. Till now we were just fetching the data. Till today we were just fetching the data, but we are going to understand how to insert the record, how to delete the record, or how to update the record, and how to fetch the record based on input. Inserting record, deleting the record, updating the record. We are going to do that, and we are going to fetch the record based on the input also. So all those things I'll cover in CRUD operations. And then we are going to go for something like deployments, deploying something like UI5 applications to ABAP UI5 repository. And we'll try to understand, of course, Fiori applications also we are going to deploy. And then Fiori customization, Fiori apps customization and development. Then we are going to understand Fiori configurations, and then we are going to discuss like theme designer also. Theme designer concept, and we are going to discuss like Fiori Launchpad and something like mobile client, Fiori mobile client, etc., etc. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss in the coming classes. And real-time point of view, these things are important. Whatever we have learned till today, we are going to use those basic concepts and we are going to proceed further. Okay, if you are attending any interview, don't attend interview just before, don't attend any interview before completing the course. First complete all the concepts, then try to attend the interview. And most importantly, the last 10 concepts which I wrote here, they are very important in real time as well as interview point of view. So what I mean to say is attend interviews after completing these topics, not before. Okay, and these topics we are going to discuss, like we are going to do it on October 3rd, and that is on Saturday. I'll take from around 5:30 p.m. to something like 8 p.m. And similarly, October 4th, that is on Sunday. At the same time, we'll try to discuss. It may take around 8:30 or something like that. And then three topics, Fiori related topics we are going to discuss, like on October 10th, that is again on Saturday. And then the timings will be like same timings, it will be here, but it will take some up to 9:30 when we are going for Fiori. And similarly, we will be having class on October 11th. And then that will be on Sunday. So after completing this schedule, still if there is any topic remaining, then I'll take you forward. If any topic is pending after this schedule, then I'll move forward. Okay. So please be thorough with this particular schedule and please plan according to this. Okay. There is no doubt I will go very slow. There won't be something like I don't go in a fast mode. I'll go very slow. The manner in which I taught till today, the same procedure I'll follow for the remaining topics as well. Okay, don't think that I'll go in a fast mode. I'll go in a very slow mode. It will be very slow. Okay, So topics looks many, but I'll go very slow and I'll make sure that you are comfortable in all the remaining topics as well. Okay, we are going to take long hours, but it will be slow. Okay, please remember, I'm not in a intention to take in a fast mode. It's not like that. Okay, the only thing is number of hours in a sitting is more, but the speed will be slow. Okay, please remember that and please plan accordingly. So I'm just trying to, and here you can see there is a tool which we have not used till now. There is one tool like SAP Web ID tool, so that we are going to use it. And we are going to use like XML views in Fiori, etc., etc. There are several things in Fiori. We are going to use them. SAP Web ID tool. Till today, we were using mainly SEGW, and we were using something like Eclipse. Okay, but in the coming classes, we are going to use SAP Web ID tool, which is very important for customization. Okay, so we are going to use all these things, etc., etc. I wrote etc., etc. That means there will be several other miscellaneous topics. So please plan accordingly. Yeah, then, yeah, if you have any doubts, you can ask me.
Hi, Vijay. This is Venkat here.
Yeah, Venkat?
Yeah. One doubt is like we used like external data service today. Like I mean, just use that XML. This thing, right? So is that external data service will be always in XML format, or is it in different formats as well?
You can access in JSON format also. You can see here when you're testing, you can test that also in JSON. You can see, you can use like, let me try, question mark dollar format equal to JSON. Let me try that here. Now you can see it is a JSON format only, no?
Okay, okay.
You can see it's same like our normal ABAP service. Entity set, you can provide entity set question mark dollar format equal to JSON. So it will display the data in JSON format here. You can see at the bottom.
Okay,
And
same
if you
thing we
want
can do
XML,
in the gateway client as well.
exactly. So whatever the procedure we used to follow, in gateway client, the same procedure you can follow here. By default, it will send the data in XML format here. You can see that. But
Okay.
if you want to see the data in JSON, then you have to try the same URLs like something like question mark dollar format equal to something like JSON. Then you will get the data in JSON format.
So when we develop in real time, so we only get that link, right? I mean, so that we can just check.
Exactly. Yes.
Like Excel, yeah.
You can test with something like entity set. If the data is coming, then you can proceed further with UI5 development.
Okay. And I mean, the same procedure we can do for OData service as well, because it's also, I mean, OData ABAP service also, because it's all
Yes.
also, that time also we are generating XML, right?
Yes. Yes. Both
Okay.
XML, JSON format is supported by ABAP service, HANA service, as well as external service.
No, I mean to say the same procedure now we did today in today's class, the same thing we can do for OData ABAP services also, right?
That is what we have done earlier, right?
Yeah, but we used to connect to the external backend, right?
Yes, we used to connect to ABAP service earlier. We used to connect to an ABAP service earlier. Today we are connecting to external service. That's the only difference.
No, what I mean to say, without connecting to the ABAP, like I mean, we just take that link. Here also we just took that link, right?
Exactly. So in your
Yeah,
case also, without going into SEGW, you can just take the URL and you can develop application in the front end.
yeah, yeah. So that's what.
You need not, as a developer, you need not go into SAP system to consume OData web service. In the front end,
Yeah.
copy that URL, and in the front end, you design your screens.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So you need not go into that SAP system, or you need not go into that external system. Just take the service URL and you can start developing the front end screens.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let me tell you one last point here. You can see OData external services. OData external services also will respond in XML format as well as JSON format. So you can just remember that it supports both formats, same like our OData web service. And what about other students? Are you able to follow?
Sir.
Then Vasant,
Hello, sir.
Tina.
Yeah, hi Vijay, this is Rahul this side.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one doubt regarding that model. You have consumed that OData model. So I have one doubt like in my project they are using a JSON model.
Okay. And in JSON model, what they're trying to do?
Means they are binding that URL coming from that ABAP server or here from the HANA server, and they are using it, consuming it. So the procedure.
Procedure wise, there won't be any difference. You can see it can be any model. You can see in documentation also, if you closely observe, they are using like a JSON model here. If you are using a JSON model, that is another type of model, but ultimately you can provide your service URL, and you can see that set the model, bind the rows, and place it on the content. That procedure will be same irrespective of the model.
So this JSON model also we can use for our purpose, right?
Yes,
or
yes.
what is the difference between that?
Generally we use JSON model if you are populating the static data. In the documentation itself, you can observe that they are populating static data, and because of that they are using a JSON model. Are you getting my point? They are populating static data. They are trying to generate some n number of lines here to save those records, and they are populating through JSON model here.
Okay. Okay.
So
from
in your documentation itself, you can see there is a JSON model concept.
And one more thing, Vijay, like this URL also we can use through the JSON model, right? The URL
I'm not sure about that. The URLs, service URLs, I think you have to use with OData model only, not JSON model. JSON model is just to see the static data. I don't think it works with a service URL.
Okay. And also one question related to that OData model. In that, when we declare that where model is equal to new SAP.UI.model, and that OData model, and in that we provide 4 parameters. The first is that URL, service URL. Then second is that false. The false is for XML format or for that JSON format. So I'm not clear.
If you use false, gateway server will respond in XML data, will respond with XML format internally. Okay. And if you are using true, I think it will try to respond in JSON format when gateway server is sending data to front end. That will happen internally.
And the next 2 parameter like this, the username and the password, so that is not mandatory, right? If the service is free service, so we can directly use that thing.
Exactly, yes. If you are using a service which is not accepting credentials, for that user ID and password is not mandatory.
Okay, Vijay, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Then what about others?
Hello?
Yeah, Harshal.
Sir, actually I have missed first 20 minutes. So can you tell me the exact difference between internal OData service and external services?
OData ABAP service is one of the service here.
Okay.
OData ABAP service is one of the service. OData external service is another service. So OData ABAP service means it interacts with what? It interacts with SAP backend systems here. That's the main point. But in case of OData external service, it interacts with non-SAP systems here.
So, okay, so if you want to create external web services, so how can we create external web services?
We don't create. As a ABAPer, we don't create. That is the job of the .NET people and Java people. They try to develop those external services.
Okay, fine, sir. Thank you.
Okay, because external service interacts with non-SAP. So non-SAP, we are not non-SAP developers. We are SAP developers. So non-SAP developers will take care of external service development.
Okay, got it, sir.
Yeah. Then what about other students?
Yeah, hello Vijay, this is Abhijit.
Yeah, Abhijit.
Yeah, I have one question. Normally, you have used an external service here. Normally, if you are using some .NET, if you are using some .NET language as external service, do we need to that there are some connectors, the Java connectors or .NET connectors? Do we use to consume here in the OData services?
No, earlier we used to use .NET connector, Java connector, and etc. connector. So now connectors program is not used anywhere in UI5 and Fiori because they are dealing with OData concept, which is generic. So we don't have any, we don't need to use any connector here. That was earlier from 2005 to 2013-14. They used to use connectors, but it's now connectors are gone. We get OData concept.
Okay, so we have to use the external service, that's all.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then what about other students?
Vijay, Sunil.
Yeah, Sunil.
Vijay, my graph is still not working.
Did you add that SVG viewer?
Yes, I did that. I think there's some problem with that script itself because all other things are working. The one which you explained before, all those things, its output is coming. Only for graph, that output is not coming. It just says no data.
Okay, then did you send that code?
Today again I have sent that new one.
Just,
the latest.
what I'll do is I'll copy that code, whatever you have written in my system, and I'll test it.
Yeah, because in SAP part it is already there. That program is still there, which will fetch the data. So you can use the same OData service, and the script you can use mine, which I had copy pasted and sent it to you.
Okay, yeah. I'll just copy that code and I'll verify in my machine. Then we'll check whether it is a problem with code or the browser or SVG viewer.
Yeah. Okay, that will be helpful.
Yeah. Then Suprit Singh, you have any doubt?
Sir,
No.
Partha, sir.
Okay, then.
Sir,
Yeah.
instead of paginator, can we use scroll down function?
Scroll down function, I think there is no separate code to use scroll down, but what you can do is you can use a table with height, width, and automatically based on that it will generate a scroller.
Automatically it will generate.
If you want, if you use height, width, and it will generate the scroller, you can see. If you want an external scroll, then I think there may be some screen element. Let me check here. Let me check. Scroll bar. You can see, you can attach this scroll bar if you want an external scroll bar to a table or any screen element. You can see this. There is one separate screen element here.
Okay.
Can you see this screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, scroll bar. If you want an external scroll bar, you can try with this.
Yeah.
But what you can do is, instead of using external scroll bar, if you remove the paginator, automatically it will show scroll bar. You can
Okay.
see, you try that, okay? Remove PageNator and try to test that table in a Firefox. Then you will automatically
Okay.
see, then you will get automatically a scroll bar.
Okay, I'll try that. And another question is that, sir, regarding row repeater, I have sent you the screenshot.
Row
Did you
repeater,
check
okay.
that?
I did not verify code today. What is the problem in that row repeater?
Actually, it is showing error that number of pages expects the integer value, but already I have put that integer value as 10, but it is now it is showing the error.
I'll try to check today.
I'll just
Okay.
check it today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Then
Thanks.
what about other students?
Vijay, this is Sriharsha.
Yeah, Sriharsha.
Actually, I sent a mail for resetting the password for this SAP user.
On October 1st, what I'll do is I'll send the new IDs to everyone.
Okay.
Because right now some of the IDs are not working, some of the IDs are locked. So on October 1st, I'll share the new IDs. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Thank
meanwhile, from the front end, you can connect to OData ABAP service just by using user D19 from your programs.
Okay.
From your programs, you can connect with this user ID.
Okay.
And password. Okay. Yeah. Other students also, please try to do that. From the programs, you can connect.
Yeah, Vijay, Ravi here.
Yeah, Ravi.
Vijay, up to now we are placing whatever the controls of the SAP UI5 in some content and all.
Okay.
When we will place like in order, like we want the table at this position and at this position we want the text labels and all, like
Then
using
there are
panels.
then there are layouts here. You can see,
Okay.
you can see something like there is a layout concept here. You
Okay.
can see like grid layout, and you can see matrix layout. You can see vertical layout, and you can see like a horizontal layout. So we can use these layouts and we can place those screen elements by using these layout classes.
Okay.
You can see here something like, if you closely observe this one, you can see in this code, let me copy this once. So here you can see in this code, they're trying to set horizontal layout. They're trying to set horizontal layout for label, text, and a button. If you want, you can set it to table. So whatever screen elements, whichever screen elements you want in horizontal manner, you assign those screen elements here. You can use comma, and you can use like table, and you can use comma, something like you can use drop down, etc. So in that case, what happens is all the screen elements will be placed in horizontal manner. Similarly, if you want, you can use like a vertical layout here. Vertical layout, that is a class. If you want, you can use matrix layout. So there are different classes here. You're getting my point. Matrix layout, and you can use something like grid layout.
Yeah, can you explain in some 10 or 15 minutes in the next class, like overview of these layouts and all?
Okay, we'll see that. We'll make this as a last topic. We'll see that. Okay. Because I think you can also do it. It's very simple. Whatever layout you want to use, use that class and provide all the screen elements in that particular content area.
Okay. Once we will try it, Vijay. If something, any doubts, we'll.
Okay, yeah. So here, let me write a note to adjust screen elements in different layouts. And use something like, there are different classes here, like horizontal layout. We can use like vertical layout. You can use like matrix layout and grid layout and then border layout. So you can try these things. Yeah, then what about other students?
Hi Vijay, Neeraj this side.
Yeah, Neeraj.
So you can use this layout part in view part, right?
Yes, view part only we are going to use it.
Okay. So we are going to use, right?
We are going to use that in view part. In view part, it is not mandatory. It's not that mandatory to use a layout. If you're not using a layout, it will take automatically a default option and it will take it in one after the other. But view is no way connected directly to a layout. Please remember that.
Yeah.
View is not directly connected to a layout. It's up to you. But we are going to discuss view concept. We are going to discuss view and controller concept. That is the next class. In the next class, we are going to deal with these all important topics. View and controller techniques. Okay, so that will be in the next class. We'll discuss about the views. As of today, we are writing everything in index file. But the same code we can write it by separating the code in view and controllers. Okay.
Okay. So I'm requesting you to use those layout in view part.
Yeah, we'll try to use it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Then what about other students?
Mohan. Hi Vijay, Mohan here.
Yeah, Mohan.
Hello.
Yeah, Mohan, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So now instead of using the layouts, I mean, we can design a complex screen using the HTML, and then we can use the option playset to put a particular screen elements in a design manner, right?
That is also possible. In index file, what you can do is you can place your tags, and within those content tags, you can include the screen elements.
So that means the entire screen, I mean, that we can design using the HTML or div tags, and then we can place the elements as and when required, right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
That is the general HTML technique. But we have different layouts at UI5 level.
Okay.
So, like, say for example, I want to use drop-down radio button table in one vertical manner, and I want to send it through view 1 or view 2. Then we can use some vertical layout concept instead of using tags in the body page. Mohan.
Yeah, understand that. But I mean, even we can design that particular scenario using the plain HTML, and then we can put the screen elements, right?
But what is the guarantee that everything will be stored in a div content tags?
So what you are recommending is using the layouts instead of designing the page in HTML, is it?
Yeah, it's better we have to follow UI5 layout technique. Because the reason behind this is there is no guarantee. There is no guarantee that every time the screen element will come to the content div tag of HTML. That the screen elements may be placed in one container, and that container will come into a div tag of your HTML. So the scenario may be like this: a drop down to panel, something like table, drop down to panel, and panel can be placed on content. But what about this table and drop down inside the panel? So that you can set through vertical or horizontal. So that in that case you can use your UI5 related layouts. I want to place table drop down in a panel, but within the panel, how table and drop down should be displayed? So in that case, we can use UI5 layouts with vertical, horizontal, grid, etc. And at last, we will send the panel to content. So Mohan, did you get some more clarity now?
Yeah, I understand, Vijay.
Yeah. Then what about others? Let me tell you one more here. You can see others. Let us understand this here. We'll try to do it in one or two examples in the coming classes. You can see, I can say table, for example, drop down to splitter. We can add it to a splitter. Okay. And but what is the layout you want to use for table and drop down within the splitter? For example, I can use a grid layout, or I can use something like matrix layout within the splitter, and ultimately we can assign the splitter to content area. So the scenarios may be like this. So in that case, it's better to know UI5 layouts. Clear? Then, okay, don't worry. We'll try to do one or two examples on this, how to use layouts and how to write the code on this. Okay, no need to worry. Then what about other students?
Hello, Vijay. Ajit here.
Yeah, Ajit.
I have a question. While creating the tables, we are writing the code for each and every column one by one.
Yes.
But is it required to, suppose I have a 50 columns are there, then I have to explicitly write the code on that?
I think it is required. Otherwise, you need to write like a looping and all those things. That code becomes more complex than this one.
Mm-hmm.
If you are generating columns through looping, that code becomes more complex than adding column by column with that general technique. So in that case, if you want to generate columns dynamically, then I think you need to get the metadata of that OData service.
Yeah. Can we do like that by using the for loop or something?
I think there are some examples in, if you go to scn.sap.com, there are some examples on how to get the metadata. But after getting the metadata, if the number of columns are 10, then you have to do some looping, and based on that, it will add column by column. So there is a facility, but I don't think in real time we are using this technique. We are using a general technique itself. Because
Okay, and
because don't forget the documentation which is given to us, that is the main thing. So that is the intention of SAP, and that is the that is like a guide to developers from SAP. Are you getting my point? So whatever the techniques used in SAP demo toolkit documentation, that is a guide to the developers, and that is a guidance from SAP. So generally, we are using that technique.
Okay. And these explicit services are built by some other, as you told, like some people who knows .NET or JavaScript. By that, they are creating those things. Then how it is
Exactly.
coming? How it is coming there? In
So
the
they will
yeah.
generate one service URL, and that service URL will be given to UI for Fiori developer. They develop everything.
Okay.
In our case, we are developing OData ABAP services in SEGW. Similarly, .NET developer, they use some .NET Microsoft tools to generate this OData external service, and they'll give it to you. Are you getting my point?
Okay.
So,
Okay, but I think by using that .NET or JavaScript, they can develop the screen itself. Why they are creating the OData services and then they are giving to UI5 to
but the
consume
scenario
only.
may be like this. The scenario may be something like this here. There is a UI5 application, something like this. UI5 app. But in this UI5 app, I want to see, because of some reason, I want to see data coming from SAP as well as data coming from some third-party system. Then what you need to do? So then,
Are you showing something, because I am unable to see the screen?
here you can see. say for example, there is a UI5 application. In that UI5 application, I want to see SAP data as well as some third-party systems data. Then we require some external service URL.
Okay. Third-party system data also we can consume because
Exactly.
of that only.
At a time, we can consume data from different systems with different service URLs.
Okay. And suppose I have created 2-3 entity sets. So for each entity sets, I need to consume the data. Like the
No, it's
services
not
will be
required.
one.
No, it's not required. The model object will be only one. Within that model object, you can use bind rows with first entity set, bind rows with second entity, bind rows with third entity set for different screen elements. But you
But
need not create model object every time for 3 entity sets if they are in same service.
okay, suppose I have 2 entity sets and the different columns are there.
No,
Okay.
let me tell you. Let me ask my doubt. Are you using those 2 entity sets in the same service or different service?
No, same service.
Then in that case, you need not create model object every time.
Yeah, that is fine. I understood that one, user. Suppose the 2 entity sets are there. So in that different fields are there. Okay. And can we combine both the fields and show in a table?
No, that is not possible like that. That scenario won't exist and that is not possible. Data, whatever you want to see in a single table, that should be assigned with a single entity set only. Are you getting my
We
point?
cannot
So
combine.
we can't at front-end level, we can't combine data of 2 entity sets and we can't display directly in single table in screen. Whatever you want to do, those joins and those combining the data, you do it at OData level, not in the screen level.
Okay. And one more question, Vijay. Yeah.
What you do is you try to join the data, you join the tables at OData level. Don't join the tables at front-end level.
Okay, clear, Vijay. I have one more question. How we will handle error in the data in the backend?
We are going to use messages. When I go for CRUD operations, I'll try to show you success message, error message, warning message, etc. When we do
Oh,
CRUD operations.
okay, fine.
In CRUD
Yeah, thanks,
operations, we'll
Vijay.
see warning, error, success messages.
Okay, fine. Okay, thanks, Vijay.
And don't think that whatever the topics I wrote, they are the main topics, but under every main topic, there will be several subtopics, messages and all those things will come, okay?
Okay, Vijay, thank you.
Okay, students, so I'll stop for today. In the next class, we'll proceed further.
Hello,
okay?
Vijay, one question. Hello? Hello? Hello?